All right, guys, I'm fired up for this event. For those of you guys don't know, I'm Connor Cullup, and I started this event coming up on a year now, and it was originally just for collective members. It was kind of a shame. I'd walk around, I'd be talking to like a builder, and then there'd be a guy downstairs that sells window and doors for new construction companies. And like, oh, have you met Mike? Oh, no, I haven't met Mike. That's crazy, right? All in the same building for 10 hours a day. And so we started getting together once a month to sharpen our skills. We would do quick elevator pitches and write them down, and then go up to podcast room so we could start building relationships, deeper, more meaningful relationships than most networking events. And I come from the real estate mortgage world where networking events look like loud music in a bar, everybody's drunk, and you walk away with 10 business cards and never text, call, or do anything with those business cards, right? And so this has kind of evolved into what it is today, the network of directors. Named it network of directors for one reason, is every big company has a board of directors, right? They can afford it. They pay 20 people to show up in a room and tell them how to run their business. Entrepreneurs, business owners, sub $5 million in revenue typically aren't going to go out and get a large board of directors put together that is meaningful and drives the business. And so having a network of directors, if you look around this room, there are some top tier level talent people, especially my crew here at the Collective. We've got marketers, website builders, big entrepreneurs in every space around the corner, and those people should be in your network as a director level person where you can go and pull their influence when you need it. And so I implore you to, when the networking portion of this starts, ask curious questions, find out who they are and how they can help your business, save them in your phone, maybe put it in the title of what they do and what they can help you with, so that later when you run into a marketing problem, you've got a marketer, Dan over here. When you need a website, you've got Micah here. When you need SEO, you've got Justin over here, right? So a little bit deeper level of communication. And then to start it off, I wanted to play a quick video. Let's see if this works. And then talk about it for a second.
Tweeting snubble, sorry.
Mike recognizes it from Ted Lasso.
Rupert, guys have underestimated me my entire life. And for years, I never understood why. It used to really bother me. But then one day, I was driving my little boy to school, and I saw this quote by Walt Whitman. It was painted on the wall there. It said, "Be curious, not judgmental." And I like that. So I get back in my car, I'm driving to work, and all of a sudden it hits me. All them fellas that used to belittle me, not a single one of them were curious. They thought they had everything all figured out, so they judged everything, and they judged everyone. And I realized that they're underestimating me. Who I was had nothing to do with it. Because if they were curious, they would ask questions. Questions like, have you played a lot of darts, Ted? Which I would have answered, yes, sir. Every Sunday afternoon I had a sports bar with my father from age 10 until I was 16 when he passed away. Barbecue sauce.
So I share that quote. A statement that I've been living by for the last 6 months or so is lead with curiosity, not judgment. And I think I found that quote through events like this, where we show up and we make this immediate judgment on somebody based on what they're wearing, how they present themselves, how they present their business, and we lead with no curiosity. I should say I lead with no curiosity often, right? I make these automatic assumptions on who this person is and what their depth of knowledge is based on what they've accomplished, what they're wearing, so on and so forth. And this quote meant a lot to me because of a kind of an experience that I went through earlier this year where I was up in Hawaii, and there was a guy that came by, and basically we started talking with him, and his immediate words out of his mouth were, do you guys fight? And I was like, that's a weird question to ask. And it turned into this conversation where he says immediately, without us asking any questions, I'm the world champion of bare knuckle fighting. Here's the tattoo of my belt. Conor McGregor's my cornerman. And it was just like punches in the face of this ego and kind of like this desire to be seen. It was like his ego coming out and just desperately needing to be validated. And that curiosity goes two ways. So when he when none of us turned around and took selfies and did the whole, oh my goodness, I met a celebrity thing, I could see the ego drain from his face, like visibly. He opened up his phone, distracted himself, says, we gotta go figure out what we're doing the rest of the day, and just kind of like scampered off. And I say that because curiosity goes both ways. When you don't leave room for curiosity in a conversation, they don't have the ability to share their most authentic self. We put them into a corner and they have to prove themselves to us now, right? And it doesn't promote good conversation, it doesn't promote good cohesion, it doesn't leave the door open for any curiosity when we just jam these things in their face. And networking is often that way, right? You have a 30-second conversation with someone, I run this big business, this is what I do, I'm so amazing, and then the conversation tapers off and there's no curiosity left in the conversation, so they don't tell you what they did, and you don't ask what they did. And then you hand them a business card, and then you walk away thinking, man, I just had a great conversation because it was just you talking, right? And so during the networking portion of this event, after we get done speaking, I really implore you to have that curiosity both directions. Let them be curious about you, be curious about them, and be genuinely asking them what their skill sets are, what their specialties are, how they can help you, how you can help them. And it will lead to a much, much deeper level of communication and teamwork and the ability to do business. And it's changed my life in the last 6 months, just being curious and openly wanting to know more information, talking a lot less about myself. And it's interesting because like in those conversations, they now get to say, wow, I had such a good conversation because they talked the whole time, right? Because I was just pulling information out of them. It's just a funny thing about conversations, right? Like, when you do all the talking, it's a great conversation, but when you're just listening, like, dude, that guy's full of himself, right? And so hopefully some of you guys have probably had that experience with me, and I try really hard to be curious, but give me some grace. We're just all human and working at it. So without further ado, we're going to start this off with kind of a fun little interview before we get into Austin. And to do the interview, I like to give myself a second to step away and see the room. So to do the interview, I've got my good buddy Justin Day. Justin runs a AI SEO company, one of the most brilliant men that I know in the SEO space especially, and a human that embodies curiosity. Every single day, the questions that he asks all the questions before he jumps in and gives you advice. I asked for some advice. He gave me a 5-page paper of talking smack about my business and all the gaps that I have in my SEO. But it helped change my business and help my developers build a website that actually works for SEO. So Justin, come on up, brother.